Quarterback Garrett Greene. Questions for Garrett?
Garrett, a lot of times decision-making gets pointed toward the passing game, when to throw, when to whatever, but it seemed like today decision-making in the run game was really big. What did you see well? Did you have an idea of what might work well? How did that play out for you?
Yeah, I think the scout team this week really did a really nice job of giving me realistic looks. And, Coach Brown put together a good game plan that was simple and pretty easy to execute.
What allowed you to have success, particularly on those long perimeter runs where you kind of break them outside?
I think it's a huge testament to how selfless our receivers are. That's Coach Scott calls it activity after catch. So, which I didn't catch the ball obviously, but it's really blocking when the guy's in space. And I know Traylon Ray had a really big block on one of the touchdowns. And that's something that they take pride in. They take pride in blocking downfield, and it's paid off for us.
Garrett, last week against Oklahoma, you struggled obviously.
Yep.
Neil said you would bounce back, and you obviously did. What was your mindset throughout the week to try and clutch that performance in week one?
Yeah, I think that it was really just I was really itching to get back out there because what I showed at Oklahoma wasn't my brand of football. Obviously I wasn't good enough to compete on the road. And I was just looking forward to getting out there, and the O-line played a hell of a game, and Jaheim ran his butt off.
What did you see up the middle? Because you also had a lot of runs kind of going right through the middle, through the defensive line. But the defensive line is the best unit on their team, but not a problem for you.
Yeah, I think that's just all credit goes to our O-line. Zach had a really big test tonight. I think number two's a really, really good player. And I think Frazier handled him well. He's the best center in the country, and he should be a first-round pick.
What did you see on the long touchdown pass to Jaheim early second quarter?
Yeah, so we kind of had that play set up, and we ran a similar look, so we kind of knew what we were going to get. And Jaheim's one of the best football players in the country. You can ask him to do anything. He ran for 210 tonight. He had 75 yards? Yeah, 75-yard touchdown catch. So he's one of the best players in the country.
What makes you just kind of say that the ceiling is that high? That's pretty high praise.
Yeah, no, he's the only knock you have on him is his height, but you see guys like Deuce Vaughn and who's the TCU guy? Well, whoever. But yeah, he's a hell of a player. And it's my job and the offensive job is to really find ways and creative ways to get him in space.
Neil kind of talked about it, but what was the mindset that right before halftime, a minute 30, but you don't have any timeouts, and I think you scored like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
What do you want to do on that?
Yeah, we practice that every week. Coach Brown gives us different situations, whether it's 3 timeouts and you feel like you have all the time in the world, or it's 50 seconds and you got to go 75 yards with no timeouts. So I think our guys practiced well in that this week, and it showed up.
You mentioned Zach being maybe a future NFL draft pick, and even Coach Brown talked about you taking last week personally. He also talked about kind of the team taking the offensive line not being recognized as a group personally. Can you speak on that as a leader of that group? Do you feel like they were slighted, and did that motivate you more?
Yeah, they were definitely slighted. The semifinalists came out, and our group was the only team in the top 10 in both rushing yards and sacks allowed. Our O-line's the best in the country. And it's not really even a question in my mind. I'd go to war for those guys any day. And I think they'd say the same.
Garrett, how much does the O-line playing well, the receivers blocking well, Jaheim running well, you playing decision? How kind of complicated is it to have a really good offensive performance like this? Because sometimes from the stands it looks effortless, but you mentioned all these different things that have to go right.
Yeah, I think it's just the investment and the time that our guys put into this week in and week out. I know me and Frazier are kind of competing for the last in the building on our work days. And I think that's just testament to how much these guys care about each other. It's just like receivers blocking on the edge. you know, they understand they got to put the time in, and you know, because Coach Brown does a really good job of changing stuff up, changing looks up for the defense. That's hard for them, but easy for us. And you know, we did a good job of executing that tonight.
Coach Brown called you the ultimate competitor. What does that mean to you, and how would you describe being the ultimate competitor?
I mean, I think I just want to win. You know, I mean, I don't care if I have to, you know, throw the ball every down, or you know, if I have to pull it every time. You know, if I have to rush for 200 or you know whatever it is, the main thing's winning ball games, and that's what I'm here to help this team do.
What's it mean for you guys to go 5-1 at home?
Yeah, that's, you know, obviously, you know, it's a great state. You know, they love their football, so you know it's on us to give them a good showing at home, and that's kind of been our mantra and our focus this whole entire year was to play well at home. And you know, I think 5-1 is pretty good. You know, we obviously want to be 6-0 at home, but you know, it's better than it's been in years past.
When you were making good decisions tonight, especially in the run game like you were, does it kind of build? Is it kind of like, hey man, we're running this against this front, and I made the right call last time. You know, I know I can make the right call again. Does it kind of snowball for you?
A little bit, but Coach Brown's on me a lot about, you know, just treating every play as its own. So, you know, no two plays are alike. So whether the last play was really, really good or really, really bad, you know, each play has its own life. You got to treat it as such.
Garrett, you obviously were disappointed in how you played last week. I'm curious, when did you move on from that, and how difficult is it to flush a game like that when you feel like you left a lot of plays on the field?
Yeah, I think I really didn't get over it until about Monday when I really started watching Cincinnati film, because obviously that's a game that I really wanted for this program, and I wish I could have done a better job of, you know, making more plays to get us in a better situation last week in Norman. But I'm happy with the way the guys responded tonight.
And what would it mean to now go on the road and try to get to an 8th victory?
Yeah, I think, you know, you obviously want to win them all. So we got a chance to be a 9-win team. But you know, I think we're better than a 9-win team. You know, our offensive line, again, I can stand up here and talk about those guys all the time, but they're the best in the country. And you know, I think we can beat anybody with those guys.
Obviously, there's still more work to be done, and the story of the season isn't written yet. But just overall, so far, what has this season meant to you?
Yeah, it's been a whole lot. You know, I love all those guys in the locker room. You know, we've really grown really close over the last 3 months or so. This team's really meshed well, and I think that's translated to good play on the field.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.